Hi guys, today I'll be doing Kingdom Hearts 3. This was its pros and cons, but for the most part it was pros. It was a fun, great game, and I have quite a bit of cons, but they're all little minor things. So overall, this game was quite amazing. We'll start with the pros, I guess. One of the big pros that I liked is before in the games, the chest would just be a chest. But in this game, like the costumes, how every time you go to a different world, you have a different costume. With this one, when you go to a different world, there's a different chest. So each chest would have its own theme. So like if you go to a Pirates of the Caribbean world, you'd have the skeletons on the chest. If you go to the monsters, it'd be like a fuzzy chest with monster patterns on it. So they had real fun with the chest designs on it. And it's just a little thing, but it was so another way of getting sucked into that world you're in. It was fun. Another great thing is in the previous games you would have Donald, Goofy, and Sora, or whoever the main character was. You'd have three characters basically. In this one, when you go into a world, the other characters are joined to your party. So every time a new character is introduced, it doesn't say, who do you want to get rid of, Donald or Goofy? It actually just throws them in there. And sometimes, I'm trying not to get too much into spoilers, but let's use Monsters Inc. because we know there's Mike and Sully. So there's two characters there. So when you go into Monsters Inc., two characters add to your party. So you end up having 5 party members instead of only having 3 and having to choose who you want to get rid of. So it made the gameplay much smoother, much faster. You didn't have to say, who do I want to get rid of? It just instantly throws them in there. And it's just a blast seeing 5 people attack all these monsters. So that was a really fun addition to the game. There was a lot of old mechanics that they brought back. I can't remember the precise name. The flowmation, or the flow attacks. So they re-added that. Another way of making the game seem fluid, where it's more of a not getting into a combat, but there's monsters already there and you're just flowing into the monsters and attacking them. So it doesn't, I mean, they obviously get generated when you walk up to them, but it still gives it more of a realistic feel that you're in an open world and just walking and fighting into monsters. You can fly around, use street posts to attack, so you can use real things around you, environmental attacks and all that fun things. Another mechanic that they re-added, I still don't know if it's a pro or a con. I first started thinking it was a con and I hated it, but I got used to it and I really like the mechanic now. But using Cure, like in Kingdom Hearts 2, does fully deplete all your MP, which I didn't like at first, only because I was weak and I wanted to spam healing. But once I got used to using all the trigger attacks and the attraction attacks and the special team attacks, I really didn't need to rely on Cure as much as I thought. So that's why it's almost a pro, because it does make you play strategically. So I like that. Another pro is the theater in the main game. I know in my previous video I said if you get 1.5, 2.5, 2.8, they all have theaters where you can watch all the movies, which is cool. If you own all the games, you can catch up. But one thing I like about this game is if you didn't own all the games, there is a small recap. I do still, one of the cons is that I do still advise playing all the games, because one of the cons is if you don't play any of the other games, it's still not going to make sense no matter how much they recap. There is a small recap. There's like 5 different videos from each game section that they recap. But I would still advise to play the games if you haven't. If you haven't, it's still going to be a fun play, but just don't expect the story to make much sense. But yeah, in this one, the recap, they have a really nice laid out, this is chapter 1 of the story, chapter 2, chapter 3, and when you play the game, as you're playing the game, you can also go back and rewatch films, which is a pro, but at the same time it's because there's so many cons with the movies, but I'll get into that later. And another one of the pros is that the synthesis, when you collect materials, you go to the Moogle, just like in the previous games, you can get upgraded items and create items. That's really fluid in this game. In this game, when you get materials, you go to the Moogle, and the Moogle stores all the materials for you. So you can just go to one spot, say, okay, what do I need? It shows all the list of what you had and what you need, and there's certain quests you can get. So like, get all blaze crystals, or get all frost crystals, or gems, or whatever. So it's actually, as long as you're going for those missions, you're going to unlock everything. So that's a great thing. You don't need a guide to say, okay, which monster do I need to kill 50 times to unlock this thing that I don't know about. It has a list of everything, what you're missing, and you can pinpoint that. And if you do want to look at guides, it's easy to pinpoint exactly what you need and go get the synth materials. Also in this game, the materials don't seem as rare. So I've never come across a material that you just can't farm. I mean, it's going to take a while, but you don't have to say, oh no, I'm only going to get 10 auriculum. Now I might not be able to make this item. I think the ultimate weapon is the only thing that needs specific amounts, but then once you make it, you have it. So you don't have to worry about making AP ups and worrying about if you're going to have enough materials to make more. Makes the end game much more fun, much more fluid. Another fun little pro. It's another one of those, it's simple, the simple things, but you can open up chests in battle. So that's the most amazing thing. When I first opened that, I was like, is that a glitch? And then I was just like, no, you can open up. So every time I see a treasure chest, I run straight to it and just open it. It's lovely. The other pro is the mini games. They actually have little arcades. It's kind of like the Mr. Game & Watch style arcades. I can't remember how many, 23 of them, something like that. So there's tons of them you can unlock and play, and you unlock certain things when you get those. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there's fun mini games. You can hunt them, play them, and even outside of the Game & Watch type, they have certain mini games in certain worlds that just add a little end game content that you just have fun with. This is definitely one of those games that I would advise rushing through to beat, and then have fun with the end game stuff. I love games like that because then you can just play forever, and this is definitely one of those type of games. Another great thing, which is also kind of a con because it makes me want to go to Disney World so badly, but that's the only con about it. The pros are that they have certain attractions. So in the middle of a battle, you can summon a Disney ride, whether it be the Mad Teacups or the water ride or the pirate ship, and there's all these little attractions you can summon, and that's really cool. And if you've been to Disney, I'm sure you've heard of the hidden Mickeys. So they've introduced that in this game. In this game, you can find hidden Mickeys. You go around the world and take pictures of hidden Mickeys. So that's an awesome addition to the game. It's a really fun addition. And the last huge thing I loved was the gummy ship. I've always loved the gummy ship, but now it's almost like an open world experience, where instead of going from planet to planet, each planet has its own course. This one is just an open world. So you can be going from planet A to planet B, but you could just make a sidetrack and just shoot all these asteroids over here, and then go over here and shoot these crystals to get these upgrades here, and you can take pictures of stars to get certain upgrades, and then you can go back to planet B. So if you loved the gummy ships in any of the previous games, this is like the best upgrade you can ever find. Again, trying not to go too much into spoilers, but it's a fun addition. Now, as far as the pros go, I don't know whether to save the worst for last. So yeah, before beating the game, it does seem like, let's see, I think I beat it in 40 hours, and I would say easily 25 of those hours were movies. So it really is, that's why I said this is one of the fun games to just beat and play later, because you have the theater mode, so even if you just want to quickly beat it and then watch the movies later in theater, you could do that. But it really is just movie after movie after movie. If I had time and I didn't have children and I had time to just sit and watch, I would love it and I would think it's amazing because they are fun. But it almost gets a little excessive. Another thing, the load times can be quite ridiculous. When I go from world to world, sometimes I just sit there twiddling my thumbs, and if I forgot that there was a chest that I missed in World 1, I seriously do say, do I really need to go back to World 1 now? I don't want to wait for the loading time. Once you're in the world, you can travel from save point to save point to save point within that world, and it's perfectly fine. But the load times going from a world to a world is quite ridiculous. Although I don't have a PS4 Pro, so that might make all the difference in the world. I'm just using the original PlayStation 4, so that might not even be an issue to Pro users. Another, like I said, small cons. Another small thing I noticed is that some of the worlds didn't have specific costumes, and it was just his normal costume. I feel like after waiting 13 years from Kingdom Hearts 2 to Kingdom Hearts 3, they should have just gone a little extra effort to get some costumes in all the worlds. But of course, the worlds that they do have costumes are really awesome costumes, and they're really well done. So it's just a little thing. Another little thing, when you go into the menu, you have the history of everything you've unlocked. You can see all the characters you've already talked to, and it shows their description. With this one, it shows the model, and you can turn it left and right, but you can't zoom in and out. And that's another thing that they spent 13 years from 2 to 3. You kind of think they could have just added a little feature to just zoom in and out, but that's the same thing I said with Spider-Man, is that I didn't like that I couldn't zoom in and out on things. So maybe I'm just nitpicky and I like looking at details, but that's one of the cons for me. And like I said before, it was kind of a con, is that you couldn't just jump in from Kingdom Hearts 2 to Kingdom Hearts 3. I would highly advise to play every single in-between game. If you didn't have enough time to play every single in-between game, get the 1.5, 2.5, 2.8 collection. That way you could just watch the theaters, just watch the movies, don't have to play the game. It's still going to be hours and hours, about hundreds of hours of videos, but it'll at least make sense then. And another thing is just me being stupid and not liking Frozen. But before you bash me, it's not that I don't like Frozen, it's just the way they specifically focused on Frozen in this game compared to others was... I don't want to give any spoilers, but there's a point where she sings the whole Let It Go song, and I'm like, there's never been a Disney World in any of the Kingdom Hearts games where they actually did a song from the movie, so why are they doing this? Why are they putting so much emphasis on Frozen? That's just a small pet peeve. It would have been awesome to go to Kingdom Hearts 1 and see Peter Pan and them doing Peter Pan songs or Aladdin songs. So it's not that I don't like that they had the song, it's just I think it's weird that that's the only world out of all 9 or 10 games that they put a song in. But yeah. Then the other con is that the special moves, like I was saying with the attractions and the team attacks, it almost gets to a point where you have to use them, especially towards the beginning. So it does get really, really repetitive until you can unlock more abilities and more weapons to be able to just freely do your own thing. So that gets repetitive, but at the same time they're fun. So any game gets repetitive, so that's not that big of a con. It's just something I noticed when playing. And last but not least, definitely not least, one of the things that made me almost want to stop playing the game, only because I have a family, I have kids running around, the lack of save points. It was atrocious in this game. There would be some times where I would be streaming, and I would stream an hour and a half longer than normal, because I couldn't just stop. I when I stream, I physically move my PlayStation, so I have to turn it off. I can't just put it on standby and come back later. So if you don't have a family, it's fine because you can just put it on standby and not worry about save points. But when you have a kid who wants to play Minecraft and you're afraid that he's gonna turn off your game when you haven't gotten to the save point yet, I felt compelled to get to a save point before stopping. And like I said, there are back-to-back movies where it really is about 30 minutes. So if you were playing for 10 minutes, getting into that 30-minute movie, and then playing another 20 minutes to get to the save point, once you beat the game, it's fine, because when you beat the game, you have all of them unlocked, and you can just fast travel to all of them, and you can just save. And I guess it's just the movies. So how long they were is what made the save points. But if you have a family and you want to be able to just stop at any point, that's really the only real con I had with this game. But even at that being the biggest con, that's quite an amazing game, because most people don't even care about save points. Most people just do the soft save now, since the consoles have them. But with just little kids, I feel paranoid doing a soft save. Yeah, they have lots of fast travels. You can go from world to world with the save points, so that makes it better once you beat the game and you're replaying all the stuff. But that's about the biggest pros and cons I've had with the game, and I would definitely say check it out. I've beaten it. I've farmed everything except for the ultimate weapon. I'm only like one quest away from getting that. It's definitely worth the money and the time. It's a fun game. I would advise to get it. And that's it for my review, guys. Thank you for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this and want more videos. And as always, thank you, and see you next time.